Egypt, 1940. When Mussolini declared war on Britain and France in June 1940, he thought he would be easily able to capture Egypt and the Suez Canal. He dreamt of entering Cairo on his white horse at the head of his troops to the strains of the opera Aida by Verdi. But his generals took fright at the thought of marching across the desert, and so their offensive in September only went 60 miles east before they dug in. The Italians were still trying to get ready to advance again when the British counterattacked in December. What if the Italians had continued their advance after bringing up more units and supplies? That is what this scenario is about. First of all, we have the Italian Air Force. These are 4 Macchi C-200s. The camouflaged ones are piloted by expert pilots. The ones in the green are novices who've been brought up to make up the numbers. The Italian army itself is split into 3 separate formations, all of which may come on at different times in different areas due to lack of command control. Italian Force Number 1, here we see 5 M13 tanks. These are brand new and have been rushed to the front to match the British units. But unfortunately, due to lack of quality control, they have a distressing tendency to catch fire. Here we have 3 L3 tankettes and 1 L3 tankette flamethrower. These aren't much of anything, but they're the best the Italians can muster right now. Up here we have 2 companies of ordinary Italian infantry, an officer with his staff car, 2 mortars, a light machine gun and a medium machine gun. Over here we have 3 trucks. One is carrying a light anti-aircraft gun, one an anti-tank gun, and the other a field gun. Italian Force Number 2, first of all, has 5 M11 tanks. These aren't very good and should have been replaced by the M13s by now. But due to lack of Italian production capacity, they're stuck with these still. Again, we have 3 L3 tankettes, 1 M3 flamethrower tank, an officer in his staff car, 1 company of black shirts. Now, the black shirts are the sort of Italian version of the SS, only not as good. These black shirt units, many of them have been picked out for loyalty to the party and loyalty to Mussolini, as opposed to their fighting ability. Not so good. Here we have a company of Libyan conscripts. Now, these local Libyan chaps, they've been conscripted, and they aren't too keen on fighting, so they may not last too long. And again, here we have 2 mortars, a medium machine gun, a light machine gun, and again we have 3 trucks with an AA gun, an anti-tank gun, and a field gun. And at the end here we have 5 motorcycle combinations for reconnaissance. Italian Force Number 3, again we have 5 M11s, 3 L3 tankettes, 1 L3 flamethrower tank, a staff car for the officer, 1 company of black shirts, 1 company of ordinary infantry, 2 mortars, 1 light machine gun, 1 officer, 1 medium machine gun, and again we have 3 trucks, 1 with a field gun, 1 anti-tank gun, and 1 light anti-aircraft gun. Over here we have the British Defensive Force. Well, I say British, but this unit is actually Indian. Its mobile reserve consists of 4 Bren gun carriers, because the Indians aren't going to be trusted with main battle tanks. There is a British officer in charge of the formation, because again, they aren't going to trust an Indian officer to command troops. That's a Bofors gun for anti-aircraft, 2 anti-tank guns, 2 more anti-tank guns, 2 medium machine guns, 2 25-pounder howitzers, 2 3-inch mortars, and a company of Indian troops. In this case, they're Sikhs, because the Sikhs are one of the more trusted races in India for the British to employ. The Italians do have defences. These are anti-tank defences and minefields and barbed wire and bunkers. Here we have the reaction force, mostly comprised of Australians. Now, the idea is that these will immediately come to the aid of the Indians should the Italians attack. But unfortunately, last night the Australians were out drinking, so when and where they are going to show up, it's variable. You have 5 A-13 cruiser tanks, 3 Matilda II infantry tanks, 3 Morris armoured cars, 3 Daimler Dingo scout cars, 2 Marmon Harrington armoured cars, 3 Vickers Mark VI light tanks, 5 Australian infantry squads, and 3 captured M11 tanks. Now, what the Australians have done here is they have captured these tanks in a previous Italian attack, but to make sure they don't suffer from friendly fire, they've painted them a nice shade of Australian olive green and have also painted the regimental mascot on the side of the tank. As you can see, it's Skippy the bush kangaroo. Here we have 2 trucks. Each one has a light anti-aircraft gun on. There is your Australian officer, who will hopefully not have too much of a hangover. There are 3 trucks to carry the infantry in, and the Australians also have 3 Bren gun carriers. Over here we have the British air units. There are 2 Hurricanes and 2 Fairey Fulmars. There are no Spitfires because they are being kept for home defence. The Fairey Fulmars are from the Fleet Air Arm and should by rights be on an aircraft carrier in the Med somewhere right now, but the Royal Navy has run out of aircraft carriers, and so they are being used to assist the land forces. So we shall see how all this goes.